Disclaimer, I've never been diagnosed with OCD. I don't even believe that I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I talk about having OCD tendencies because there's things that seem to be a part of me that I do that are not necessarily neurotypical, that fit under the umbrella of symptoms or attributes that comprise OCD. There. Get that out of the way and clear. So, for some reason this has never come up before. I haven't really thought about having a conversation about this before, so I'm really excited because sometimes I sit on something for a long time or it comes up again and again and I'm like, I should do that, or when do I want to do it, or like some things aren't very time sensitive. I really enjoy having the conversations that are very much like, I thought of it right now and I am like in the moment to really discuss it. And this is one of those because I had a moment today, which actually kind of links to the vlog where I talk about Google Maps. So if you want a fuller picture of what happened or whatever, I guess, you can go to my little rant in the vlog. But anyway, so there are just certain things that I do, and I'm trying to figure out right now the advantages of these tendencies, how to control these tendencies, and also how they relate to discipline, because I feel like they do and they don't, and that's what I wanted to kind of explore today a bunch. It's just, it's something else. So it's really hard for me to think of other examples, so I'm really glad I have the one today. But something that has happened to me in the past, they're more general things. I think there's some specifics, but nothing is like fresh like it is with today's incident, which I'll get into last. Those OCD tendencies that I have, I don't think they really come through unless you live with me. So, I mean, I've had roommates in the past and stuff, but I mean, if they're coming and going and not really, I don't know, not in my world of like my room or whatever, if you share a bedroom with me, then you've probably seen this stuff. I just think this is something that has come through when, you know, I live with somebody for a certain period of time, and it's definitely something in my in my current relationship that has been brought up before, and I think I've gotten better with a lot of things now than before, of just being able to control the compulsion to do certain things or to finish certain things. It's not to start them, that's not the problem. My biggest thing that fits into this category is that it's very difficult for me to stop doing certain things once I start. It really depends on what that is. There's another reason why I'm very conscious of time and trying to be organized with time, and the past couple of years I've really, I don't know, like I used to be more like on time, like that. In the past couple of years, the OCD style stuff has backfired and like made me late for things, and that's an issue. Like sometimes things take longer than you anticipate, and then you have a choice to either drop the thing you're doing or continue doing it. And depending on what the thing is, it's really hard for me to tear myself away from it. So one example is that from like last year when I started vlogging, I was trying to figure out all the software, there's like render time and whatever else, and like, so first I record a video, then I have to upload it to the computer. From there, I have to edit it in Premiere Pro, that's what I use, so I edit it. When I save it, then I have to render it. I have to like basically get it to save as one single file so that it can be watched properly by almost any device. And from there, I have to upload it to YouTube. There are 3 different things there that take, well, no, there's 4, I guess. The recording process takes time, which I never know how long it'll take. I have a ballpark that, you know, a conversation's not going to take me more than an hour usually ever. I think I've gone close past that closely. That's not a good sentence. Once or twice. Generally now, they're not much longer than a half hour. But anyway, that takes a time commitment that I have to budget for. And then I need to upload the footage to my computer, which I ballpark roughly know how long it'll take depending on how much footage is on the camera. Editing, I mean, takes time, but I mean, like, I'm better now at stopping editing and just like saving it and moving on than I was before, so that's not really a thing anymore. But the render time of the video, so I don't like leaving my computer on overnight if I can help it, and I like to do things in certain stages of like, okay, this has to render right now, it has to save properly and compile all the music and photos and sound effects and pictures, like, well, photos, pictures, sound effects, music, redundant, you know, and different clips, and just like put it all together. It has to combine all these things. The rendering, again, it tells me how long it's going to take, roughly, but then it kind of like, when it's done, it still has to finish rendering, and that has no time limit, that whatever. I have a ballpark for that. But the other thing is the upload time for YouTube. So again, it'll tell me how long it's supposed to take, but then like the final sequencing of things doesn't have like a time limit that it shows you. So if I want to render a video and I want to put it up the same day, because let's say it would be advantageous to do so with just the timing. So let's say I'm like, hey, I've got some time today, I edited it, it's done, I just need to render and save the video, and hey, I've got to be somewhere in an hour. So if it finishes in an hour, that's perfect, because I'm going to be gone for the rest of the day, and I can leave my computer on, and I can upload it while I'm gone. So that would save time. Like I could use, sometimes when you're uploading or rendering or whatever, it takes a lot of CPU, and like you can't be doing other things. Like if I wanted to game or do something that was also heavy in CPU, like it just stretches things too thin, whatever. So that would be a perfect thing to time, right? But there were times where the rendering didn't finish in time, and I was like, oh man, I need to go. I was like, oh, just give it one more minute, just one more minute, just one more minute. I don't know when it's going to end. I'm like, just one more minute, because then I can start the upload and then I can leave. And then when I come back, the upload will be done, and it'll just work magically. I'm running late, just one more minute. And like, that 1 minute turns into 5 and a 10 and a 15, 20, sometimes 30. Like, it's like, oh man, why is this taking so long today? Like, I don't understand. Like, why is it, like, and then I'm late for something. Or sometimes I'll push it until I'm like, I won't be late, but I'll almost be late, and it's just like, I'm stressed, and then I'm driving there, and I'm just like, and then I get into this place where it takes me a long time to come down from being in a rush. I don't like being in a rush, because when I'm in a rush, I tend to forget things. I think most people do. You're distracted by needing to get somewhere else at a certain time, you don't bring everything with you, you don't take all the considerations in, maybe shutting everything off before you leave the house. There's a lot of things that can happen, and I'm human and prone to those same things of forgetting things, and yeah, just not taking everything into consideration when I am in a rush. So I don't like being in a rush. I do things to try to prevent that. But I put myself in that situation. Instead of just being like, I'll just have to upload it later, like whatever, I am trying to make the best and most efficient use of my time to such a degree that I end up being late for something. Like it's this thing that goes full circle and it backfires and it's just a mess. That's one example. That's just one example of certain things. If I'm organizing things, if I'm in the middle of like either digitally organizing things on my computer, I'm like, I really want to get a certain chunk done. I don't like, when I read a book, I read to the end of a chapter. I have to read to the end of a chapter. Like, not like I have to, like if I'm falling asleep, I'm falling asleep, and then I try to get to the end of a chapter, but whatever. I don't like to not just have a section of something complete, whatever that section is. I mean, it goes with art too, and painting. Part of that is because the medium I use, like it usually spray paint or acrylic, is fast drawing. If I don't do things in certain sections and if I leave the painting half done, it's just, there's technical issues that come with that because it's fast drawing medium. So there's just things that I prefer to do in sections, in various stages of this is complete, then we'll move on to stage 2, stage 3, whatever, till it's finished. And there's times that I rush things because I'm like, I really want, this could be done today. And rather than letting something dry the way it should and like overnight and make 100% sure it's dry, I will end up screwing things up because I'm like, it's pretty dry. Like, I think it's dry. Like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it's dry. And then I'll do something to it, like add something or travel with it or whatever else. And then I'll bunge it up because I didn't wait, because I'm too impatient. There's a lot of things that go hand in hand. But it's just like, if I can get this thing to this person quicker, that would be better. Like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, these are some examples. It's very difficult for me to stop something when I am in the middle of something, when I have made my mind up already and set up the task to be done within that sitting, to abandon it in that sitting and say, I'll just get to it later, I have an incredibly hard time with. Now, it's not that these things are fun, because it is situational. Like, these things aren't like necessarily fun things that it's like, yeah, who would want to stop doing something fun? Like if I, whatever, like, you know, but if I'm, again, doing editing or organizing things, digitally organizing, or like if I was, you know, filing books, or I don't know, I just don't like to have things unfinished. It stresses me out when I have certain things that are not finished. Like it weighs on me. And that is why sometimes I prioritize doing that thing over the other thing. Sometimes the other thing is a human being. It's like, I said I was going to meet you at this time, I ended up pushing it, and then, you know, rather than having a 5-minute buffer zone because of traffic or whatever else, I took away the buffer zone, and then, yeah, now I'm late because so-and-so or whatever happened, like, there was construction, or it was really slow, it's backed up, like whatever. It's just a plethora of things can happen, and I know that. So I budget time for that, and then I take away the cushion because I'm too busy trying to finish something else. It is something that I am learning to get better with, but it's still there. And I will push things just so many times. So the example from today, and then we'll kind of get into things a little more, is that Randy asked me a favor. She said, hey, can you find, or like, for work, you know, she's piloting, so there's crazy wide loads, amazingly heavy machinery, you know, on semis that they're dropping them off somewhere or picking them up or whatever, and she's leading, you know, this semi. It can't go on certain roads. Okay, so they have to take grid roads, back roads, whatever you want to call them, range roads. They a lot of the times they can't be on certain highways for certain sections, etc. You know, like you see signs all over the place being like no trucks on this route, or no trucks over 5 tons, or like this is a trucker route, or whatever. Well, that's something she has to consider. So she asked me a favor because she didn't. I guess she didn't get the destination plans until this morning. She said, hey, can you find all this stuff? Like there was like, I don't remember how many, like 20 steps maybe, that was like turn left here, after 5 kilometers turn right here, and then after 0.83 kilometers turn right here, and then do this, and then go here, and then this road, and then this one. And it's not just like you can get on a main highway and go from A to B. It's just like, it's like a game of Snake on a Nokia. It's ridiculous. So that's what she's like, can you put this into Google Maps? All these, you know, like, I haven't found a way to do it from my phone. If you want to go to a destination using Google Maps, it gives you like maybe 3 different routes, and you can just pick one. And I don't know how on the phone, and she doesn't know either, how to alter the route. You can modify the route on desktop though, on Google Maps. So that's what I was doing. Simple enough task. Maybe take me 10 minutes or something to just go through every single little thing and make sure I reroute it. Not a big deal. So that is what I was supposed to. I had other plans. Like I was going to go biking, and I wanted to do some other things, and I had to be home by a certain time. I had plans. It was like, it's not going to take that long. No big deal. I'll go do that. I'll help you out. I'll go get that done. It'll make things easier. Won't cause me much issue. But Google Maps was not cooperating. It kept crashing because the cache, like I had to empty the cache. I had to like erase my history and empty the cache just so that it would like be able to refresh. Like it wasn't just, it kept crashing because I'd made so many modifications for some, I don't know, I looked it up, I researched it and found that this was an error that happens sometimes, that hey, erase your cache and it'll happen. Okay, so I did that and then it did work. But the thing, it only allowed me to make so many modifications sometimes. Like you can't modify the route anymore is what it said. And I was like, what do you mean? There was a point where I don't know why it only let me have 4 different destinations. Again, I kept researching, I was trying to figure this out, I was trying to get the information to her in a timely manner, and I was just like freaking out because I did it. Like I mean, modifying the route still took a little bit of time, but I modified the route and then I sent it to her. I mean, I had to send the text to me. I mean, I got it to send me a text with a link. I click on the link, it opens up Google Maps, and it's wrong. It completely obliterated all the modifications I made and just picked the best route, which is like, hey, go on Highway 2 and like whatever. And it's like, no, you can't do that. What did I just modify all that for? So I had to go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out. And it was just like, hey, I'm modifying it again. How do I, like maybe if I send the link in an email rather than getting it to text me, no, that didn't work. And I was like, hey, I think I got it this time. Nope, that didn't work. And then like I was trying to research and read like, why doesn't this work? And it's like, oh yeah, well Google Maps is just dumb like that. Like they just don't have that for some reason, where if you modify the map, it doesn't, once you text it to your phone or once it gets sent to your phone, it just, the link you will click on just gives you the best route that Google says it's the best. So that's just what happens. There's no way around it, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, oh my goodness, there has to be a way. So I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying. Now I said that this was something that should have only taken about 10 minutes. I tried for over an hour at first, because that's not where it ends. Tried for over an hour. I mean, it crashed on me a couple times before I even knew that sending it modified and opening it wouldn't keep it modified and it would just go back to whatever route it wanted to. Before I knew that, it had crashed, I think, 3 times on me, where it just stopped. Just stopped. The other part of it, I mean, part of this is Google Maps' fault, part of it is my fault, part of it is that the destination didn't have a name, and like at first, it wouldn't let me just drop, like, this is my destination. Unless there was like I had to type in a place, you know, at first, because I was like, I don't understand. The very last instructions were like, turn right on the road, like due south. What road? There's no road on that map. Like, it's like a farmer's driveway, so the road doesn't show up, but the road before it shows up, but there's nothing there. And I was like, what is the destination? I have no idea what it is. Eventually, I figured out how to, like, move that destination. So I originally had the destination set at a place that was nearby, a town nearby. I moved that, but once I moved that, everything else that I had modified completely came undone. So then I'm going to start again. I start again, and then it crashes, and then I figure out the cache thing, whatever. I start all over again, but I mean, I have the destination this time, like, okay, I have the destination as this town, and I'm just going to move it to as close as I can get to where it's supposed to be, where the last turn is. I can't follow it, whatever. All this stuff is happening. I'm really struggling. I'm super annoyed. But one thing that would upset me more is wasting my time. If I spent an hour and 15 minutes on it and I didn't get the result, that is the waste of the time to me. If I spend more time on it and I get it, I can feel accomplished that I got it. It was like when I spent, man, this just makes me sound like a complete imbecile or something. But like when I, for the very first time, when I had to put a new tube on the bike and like the bead and all this stuff, and that's in the vlog too, it took me like 2 hours to do. Some people it takes like 5 minutes. I'm like, how does it take? I couldn't get it off the bead. It wouldn't come off the bead. And then I tried to get it back on, and that's a struggle. And I was like, oh my goodness. It took me like 2 hours. But I didn't quit on it and then just take it to the shop. That would have been really annoying in so many aspects. I did do it. I am capable of doing it. It will be faster next time, etc. It sucked, and it really, like, I sacrificed a lot of time by when is the time to quit? It's really difficult for me to perceive when to quit this task. When, like, there's like a device of like loss, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's like waste loss management or something. I don't remember, and I don't know how to. Like, it's just not something that I naturally. I question myself. I'm like, if I just stop this right now, then like cutting my losses. That's the thing. I don't know how to do it. I spend too much time on things in many different aspects of life that I should have quit earlier. And it's not always a bad thing to quit a thing, to stop a thing, to cut your losses, to realize the time I've already spent I'm not going to get back. But there's other times, like with the bike thing, I'm like, hey, I did it. I didn't have to make an appointment. I didn't have to wait to ride my bike. I didn't have to take it in a Lethbridge and get someone else to do this thing that should be simple enough for me to do. I thought I could do it. I looked things up. I studied it a bit, and I can do it. And I was capable of doing it. I mean, it was ridiculously difficult with my bike specifically. Whatever. The Google Maps thing, like, it was just, again, ridiculous. This technological issue kept happening. Various issues, not even just one. I spent over 2 hours on it total, but I got it. I ended up figuring out, I don't want to make this all about the jargon of this thing, but like, I had to make destination after destination after destination, because between destinations, it would want to reroute in its own way. So I had to find, like, okay, well, I don't want you to reroute off this highway, so I need to make that highway in itself a destination. And then I need to make the other highway next to it because between B and C, now you want to reroute again. Okay, so now there has to be C and D, and then I have to make a thing between that. And I had to make like 10 different destinations for just like a 100-kilometer section. And I figured it out, and I did it. But at what cost? Because I ended up pushing other things aside. That became my priority, even though it wasn't fun. It was completely frustrating. It was really annoying. I was happy I figured it out because that is going to be something useful to me in the future again. Now I know all about it. I figured it out. I learned a lot by doing it. Same thing with the bike thing. I figured out the problems with it. It'll be easier next time. I know when to give up, or I know not to give up because I know that I can do it. I know better how to do it. But that's the thing. Is that discipline? I don't think so. It's like a mental issue. Like, it is baggage. That isn't real discipline. Discipline to me is like, I need to wake up and like get going and do this and do that. Like, I don't consider myself a lazy person, yet I do lazy things. Like, I'm not disciplined enough to get up and, okay, get up, work out, do this, do that. Like, no. I've talked about it before. Like, I had a conversation about discipline. I'll put it at the end. And it's like, discipline is hard for me. How can I translate this? It's not a skill. This baggage of, how can I translate the baggage of needing to, or obsessing over finishing certain tasks into discipline? I don't know if I can. I don't think they're related enough. I don't know how to just transfer that into this other thing. Because that's the thing. I don't have that compulsion when it comes to finishing certain things. Like, it's just not there. There's a few crossovers, I guess, but it's so rare. I'm having a hard time thinking of them. With biking, I do not want to get off my bike if I can help it. I do not want to, if it gets really, really, really hard on a climb, I downshift until I can't downshift anymore, and I want to keep going. I do not want the defeat. That, to me, is one area where I'm disciplined in, and I try to get better and better and better, and I will not get off my bike unless I absolutely have to. I will do long climbs. I will just do it until I just can't anymore. Other than that, I don't know. I sacrifice the quality of my art way more than I'd like to admit by wanting to finish things in a certain way and whatever, and not restarting fresh again when I should, or the resolution I like wasn't really that great after all in the end, and I should just scrap it and start again. Like, there are things where I just don't seem to have the discipline. I don't know how to harness this OCD tendency into discipline, because that's the thing. That is a lack of discipline. The OCD tendency is a lack of discipline because I can't figure out when to stop. I know generally when to stop a painting if it's going well. If it's not going well, I push it and push it until I finish it. I try to be disciplined in resolving it, but sometimes you can't resolve it in the time frame you have. So I resort sometimes to really quick, violent gestures that change the landscape of the whole thing, and sometimes that works amazingly for me by creating chaos in the scenario, and other times I'm like, no, I'm still unhappy with it, but I need to go, and I want this done before I go, rather than saying, I guess I'll have to get to it another day. That is what I have an incredibly difficult time with. Leaving it for another day. And it's not for like these noble reasons that I'd like to say. I stick to some quotes a lot. Like, there's a Picasso quote, say what you will about him, but I mean, like, where he talks about, like, what was it? Like, not leaving anything undone that you wish to. I don't remember what it is now, but I'll post it here. I'll have it at home and whatever. And then, I mean, there's Rage Against the Machine. Zach says in Down Rodeo, he says, can't waste the day when the night brings a hearse. I love that quote. It's a reminder. It's not what I embody. It's what I would like to embody, that philosophy of discipline and work ethic and whatever that I struggle with so much. So these aren't noble things that we like, I gotta finish this, I gotta finish this. No, it's like, it's a problem. It's a compulsion that exists that I have an incredibly hard time controlling. again, I've not been diagnosed with OCD. It's not something that I've talked to someone really about that's a professional, and I don't think I fit under the umbrella because I am capable. It's not like I start twitching and tweaking out or whatever other stereotypes and just like, no, like I'm capable of walking away from things. I am capable. But there's a mental blockage that makes it really uncomfortable to do it. Even though the reasoning and logic is there, it is so uncomfortable for me to walk away from the thing. I have to feel like I complete things. Even things I'm not enjoying. Things that aren't like figuring things out and like more noble pursuits. Like, I really want to figure out this Google Maps thing. I know I can do it, and like, I'm going to exhaust. That's the thing. I will try to exhaust everything I can before quitting. Usually that's a good thing. But then it comes to other things that I don't enjoy. Like, I watched all seasons of Friends. That sounds like funny, but like, after a couple seasons, I wasn't enjoying it anymore. There's like 10 seasons. And I was like, man, this is just annoying. Like, I get frustrated almost every episode now with like certain characters, with the writing, with whatever. Like, I was like, this just isn't that enjoyable. Why am I still doing it? You know how many hours of better TV I could have watched? I don't watch much TV. I don't binge things. So to watch, it took me like over a year, I think, to watch that. Like, to watch 10 seasons, like, it's just, I could have stopped, you know, and just gone on to something else. I mean, I finished books before that I wasn't necessarily enjoying, and sometimes that's been good, and sometimes it was like, what a waste of time. Like, but I hold on to this hope that it'll surprise me and I'll learn something and all these, but I only have so much time to use. I could drop dead right now. I have no idea. Like, so it's the picking of the priorities and having these tendencies have control of me is a huge issue. Massive. Having the conversation I'm hoping would have like enlightened me to some things, and I guess it did in some areas, but knowing how much, I know that I have control, it's just uncomfortable. Well, I talk about being uncomfortable all the time, and that's good. That's how you learn and how you grow, by being met with discomfort and rising to the occasion and that challenge and conquering it. So I just need to quit things quicker. I need to figure out the balance, and it is the freaking hard, one of the hardest balances for me to figure out. Sometimes there's a payoff. I can spend 2 hours doing something that should take 10 minutes. And the payoff, I learned so much about how to actually do it right, it will be useful for later. That's happened twice to me in the past like month, with the bike thing, with the Google Maps thing, okay? Other times there is no payoff. For some reason, I have a really hard time judging that. I can't foretell the future. What if it never worked and I spent 2 hours just realizing it wouldn't work? Some people would have quit after 15 minutes or a half hour and say, you know what? It's just not gonna work. I didn't exhaust every option, so I didn't know that it wouldn't work. I had to do research and go to troubleshoot and go to support forums, and then I figured it out. I don't know what else to say, so I will see you on another time.